Nothing beats a good dose of myth-busting. Today is no exception. By the end of this list you should be 10 facts smarter. 1. Classical statues and buildings were finished in white stone or marble. Those of you who have been following the site since its infancy will know that this is a myth, but we have so many new readers that it seems appropriate to include it here anyway. When most of us think of the Romans and Greeks, we think of the beautiful white statues and buildings that they left behind them. But even way back in the 1800s, statues that had been excavated were found to contain traces of paint pigment. At the time, color was considered a non-essential part of beauty, so no one bothered to try to replicate the original appearance of these great works of art. Fortunately for us, in more recent years, people have tried to replicate matching the original pigments found embedded in the stone. 2. Aluminum is an American corruption of the correct word aluminium. While I am sure that many of our American readers will know this, the British and Commonwealth readers probably don't. Aluminum is actually the older term, while aluminium was created later by the British to make it sound more like the other elements. Here is a timeline which explains things clearly. 1808. Sir Humphrey Davy isolates the metal for the first time. He calls it aluminum. 1812. Sir Humphrey decides to change the spelling of his element. He renames it to aluminum, the term adopted in the United States. 1812. British scientists dislike the new name and change it to aluminium to match the other classical sounding elements. So, if we are to give the discoverer the naming rights, the proper term is aluminum. And for those who love grammar. 3. Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone. We have all heard the tale of Alexander Graham Bell inventing the phone and using it for the first time to call his secretary Mr. Watson. But the first functioning telephone was actually invented 15 years earlier by Philip Reis, a German inventor. His device, which he called the Reis telephone, was first demonstrated in 1861. The Reis telephone was only able to transmit musical tones quite clearly and human voices faintly. There is no doubt at all that the first transmission of human voices over wire was on the device created by Reis, a full 15 years prior to the invention by the man who now receives all the accolades for it. 4. Adolf Hitler was a vegetarian and didn't drink alcohol. This is a very common myth that seems to be extremely popular, perhaps because it seems ironic that a man who caused one of the worst cases of genocide in history loved animals so much that he wouldn't eat them. But this ironic twist is actually untrue. What is true is that Hitler did prefer a diet of vegetables, but he had a strong fondness for German sausage and ham, and his cook in the 1930s, Diane Lucas, said that his favorite dish was stuffed baby pigeon. Oh, and to wash it all down, Hitler's drink of choice, beer or watered-down wine. This was also confirmed by Hitler's waiter, Salvador Palini. 5. The Great Fire of London in 1666 ended the Great Plague of 1665. A study done by the University of London recently found no correlation between the location of the fire and the geography of the dreadful plague. It was just a coincidence that the fire happened around the same time as the plague was beginning to mysteriously disappear. Most of the areas affected by the plague were poor parts of London north, south and east of the city walls, whereas the fire was in the city itself. Encyclopedia Britannica says the cessation of plague in England must be regarded as spontaneous. 6. Spinach makes you strong like Popeye the Sailor Man. The myth comes from the fact that spinach is high in iron. But wait, spinach is actually not very high in iron. Believe it or not, this part of the myth comes from a handwriting error in 1870, when a Dr. Wolf accidentally put a decimal point in the wrong place and made it look like spinach had 10 times more iron than it really has. Now to the strong part of the myth. In order to get muscle strength, you need to exercise and do weight training. Eating spinach, or anything else for that matter, won't make you strong on its own. It will only give you the energy you need to survive your workout. 7. Coffee cure. Myth. Coffee can help sober a person up. Not true. Alcohol is metabolized by the body at a constant rate, 1 unit of around 8 grams per hour, and you can't do anything to make it happen faster. Beer contains 2 units of alcohol per pint, so if you drink 2 pints, it will take 4 hours for your blood alcohol level to return to 0. All coffee will do is make you a wide-awake drunk, just as a cold shower will make you a wet drunk. All you can do is settle down and wait for the effects to pass naturally. 8. Catholic priests can't be married. In order to clear this one up, we need to first understand the nature of the Catholic Church. Within the Universal Church there are sections, also called churches, but not in the sense that they are separate. The most common one is, of course, the Roman, or Latin, Catholic Church. Then there is the Eastern Catholic Church, not to be confused with the Orthodox, which is a different religion. Both of these churches fall under the jurisdiction of the Pope and all believe the same doctrines. There are a lot of differences between the two groups, and these are all in matters of style of worship and certain rules. In the Eastern Church, priests are allowed to be married, but a married priest can't become a bishop. It also happens that occasionally in the Latin Church, pastors from other religions, such as the Church of England, are allowed to become priests if they renounce their religion and become Catholic even though they are married. So married priests can be found in all parts of the Roman Catholic Church.